1904 London. A girl is born to a middle-class family, which they named Dorothy. When she was 3 years old, she fell down the stairs. A doctor is called. When he arrived and the girl was examined by the doctor, he informs the parents about the terrible news that their daughter Dorothy is dead. They left the girl's body lying alone in her room and went downstairs. After several hours of her parents grieving, they heard strange noises coming from her room. They rushed there and found Dorothy playing on the bed. Over the next few days, the parents noticed a change in the girl's speech, as if some kind of speech defect had appeared, although it was more like an accent. The girl kept having strange dreams in which she was near a huge building with huge columns, which had a very nice garden. She told her parents everything in detail, and these dreams kept repeating themselves. The parents didn't pay much attention to her because she was only 4 years old. But she was as if possessed by this place and never stopped talking about it. And eventually she started telling her parents that she wanted to come home. And even though her parents used to say that you are at home, it is your home, Dorothy would reply, "No, it's not my house. My home is in that garden from the dream next to that huge building with columns." Then, after a while, everyone, as it were, put up with Dorothy's strange behavior. And one day, the whole family decided to go to the London History Museum. And when they all went to the Department of Egyptology, the girl ran up to one of the statues and started kissing its feet. Mom asked, "What are you doing?" And the girl answered, "These are my people." She looked hysterical. Then, at the age of 6, she became interested in hieroglyphs, which seemed familiar to her. And finally, she saw a picture in one of the books of the Temple of Seti, and she said, "This is my home." But they looked different. There used to be a garden with tall trees. When she turned 10, she was extremely interested in Egypt and spent all her free time at the London History Museum, where she was interested in various Egyptian artifacts. Seeing her interest in ancient Egypt, one of the most famous Egyptologists of the time offered to teach her hieroglyphics, and she was very good at it. Then, at the age of 27, Dorothy met an Egyptian, an English teacher, and went to live in Egypt, where they had a son who they named Seti. During her first years in Egypt, she claimed she was visited by Hor-Ra, who she claimed was the spirit of Seti I. She claimed that Hor-Ra told the story of her past life to her over a period of 12 months. The story she wrote took up about 70 pages of hieroglyphic text. It describes the life of a young woman called Bentreshit in ancient Egypt who reincarnated as Dorothy Eady. Bentreshit is described in this text as having humble origins, her mother a vegetable seller and her father a soldier during Seti's first reign. When she was 3, her mother died, and she was given to Qom el-Sultan Temple because her father could not support her. There she was raised to be a saint. When she was 12 years old, the high priest asked her if she wanted to go out into the world or stay and become a consecrated virgin. Without a complete understanding of the world beyond the temple doors, she took her vows. Over the next 2 years, she learned her role in the annual drama of the Passion and Resurrection of Osiris, a role that could only be performed by maidens consecrated to Iris. One day, Seti visited me and we talked. Then we became lovers, eating uncooked goose, an ancient Egyptian term that is compared to eating the forbidden fruit. When Bentreshit became pregnant, she told the high priest who the father was. He then informed her that the crime against the gods was so heinous that death would be the surest punishment at trial. Not wanting to face Seti's public scandal, she committed suicide rather than face trial. This was supposedly Dorothy's previous life, which was dictated to her by Seti himself. Unable to bear the tension at home, her husband decided to accept a job offer to work as a teacher in Iraq, and after some time, they broke up. Dorothy moved with her son to Nazlat al-Saman, a town near the pyramids of Giza, where she met the Egyptian archaeologist Selim Hassan of the Department of Antiquities. In 1956, at the beginning, Dorothy was out of a job, but she received 2 job offers. One of them was well paid at the Cairo Record Office. Another low-paying job was as a draftsman, but this job was in the Temple of Seti. So on March 3, 1956, 52-year-old Dorothy left and went to Abydos, where the name Omm Seti, Seti Mama, came from. It was customary in Egyptian villages to call the mother by the name of the eldest child. Abydos had a special meaning for her because it was where she believed she lived and served in the Temple of Seti. She had already visited this temple before, where she demonstrated her advanced knowledge. During one of these trips to the temple, the chief inspector of the Antiquities Department, who was aware of her claims, decided to test her and asked her to stand by certain walls in complete darkness. She was instructed to tell about the drawings on them, based on the previous knowledge of the temple priestess. She successfully completed the task, although the locations of the paintings had not yet been made public at the time. She spent the first 2 years deciphering and translating hieroglyphs from the recently excavated temple palace. This work of hers and the skill she showed in translating enigmatic texts, along with other members of the Antiquities Department, impressed everyone. For her, the Temple of Seti was a place of peace and safety, where she was watched over by the benevolent eyes of the ancient Egyptian gods. She said that in her previous life as a priestess, the temple had a garden when she first met Seti. When she was little, no one believed her, but when she lived in the city of Abydos, the garden was found where she told them. Every morning and evening, she visited the temple to say the daily prayers. On the birthdays of Osiris and Isis, she observed the ancient abstinence from food and brought beer, wine, bread, and tea to Osiris Chapel. She also recited the lament of Isis and Osiris, which she had learned as a girl. She turned one of the temple's rooms into a personal office where she did her work and befriended a cobra she fed regularly. She described the Temple of Seti as an entrance to a time machine where the past becomes the present and the modern mind finds it difficult to comprehend a world where magic is accepted. Omm Seti died on April 21, 1981 in Abydos, not far from Seti's first temple, where she claimed to have lived 3,000 years ago. Despite her contradictory statements about her past life, there is consensus about her enormous contribution to Egyptian studies. Her knowledge and stories about ancient Egypt and the Temple of Seti itself helped to make more than one important discovery. What do you think? Does reincarnation really exist? You can leave your opinion in the comments section. And now, see you in the next interesting documentary video.